The deployment of 5G technology has sparked fears and concerns among some individuals and communities. One of the major fears surrounding 5G is the potential health risks associated with the higher frequency bands used in these networks. There continues to be concerns about exposure to electromagnetic radiation and the impact on human health, despite the extensive research and regulatory standards in place to ensure the safety of wireless technologies. There are also apprehensions about privacy and security vulnerabilities in 5G networks, as well as the potential for job displacement as automation and advanced connectivity become more prevalent. Addressing these fears requires clear communication, education, and transparency about the technology and its implications. And joining us today to help demystify 5G, particularly for industry, is Michael Weller, practice lead for manufacturing, energy, and utilities at Verizon Business. Thank you for joining us, Michael.
Hi, Sharon. Happy to be here.
All right, so let's lift that 5G fog. My first question, what are the key differences between 5G and previous generations of mobile networks?
The biggest thing about 5G is the opportunity now exists for speeds and latency that wireless technologies have traditionally not been able to deliver. Even though we had a step change from 2G to 3G, 3G to 4G, the jump from 4G to 5G is massive. It's going to be typically about 10 times faster, and in certain situations can be up to 100 times faster than what 4G was able to deliver. That means that things like latency are going way down. From in the past with 4G, you might be able to get 60 to 100 milliseconds of latency, which was fantastic. But now with 5G, the opportunity exists to go down into the 5 millisecond range. That's undetectable by the human ear or eye. So it's virtually real time. So that compares favorably to wired connections.
And so, how is 5G expected to impact industry, particularly that of machine design?
One of the common misconceptions around 5G is that it's really just a supercharged consumer technology. And the reality is, on the consumer side, while it's going to have an impact, or you're going to have greater device density, especially in public venues, and faster download speeds for people at a sporting event or something like that. Where we think 5G is truly going to be a game changer is in private industry. Because with 5G also comes the opportunity now to deliver private cellular services to industry. So think of all of the benefits of having the agility and flexibility of a wireless network while getting the performance, reliability, and security of a wired connection. Now, for the first time, industry has the opportunity to have an option to traditional wired connections. That's going to give Industry 4.0 initiatives the fuel to do all sorts of things that they couldn't do in the past because of either the limitations of wired connections or the reliability, coverage, and security concerns of a Wi-Fi connection. So it's going to be that big highway in the middle in between wired connections and traditional wireless connectivity that's going to be the game changer and enable a range of emerging use cases from AI and ML applications to machine health to computer vision and video analytics related opportunities to connecting mobile assets to being able to manage vast outdoor spaces in a way that couldn't be done before. So there's a terrific range of business impact that can be delivered by some of the use cases that will be enabled by private wireless.
Yeah, that's terrific. So are there any potential health risks that are associated with the technology? And if so, how are they being addressed?
Well, you mentioned the electromagnetic radiation. If you look at the electromagnetic spectrum and you look at where radio sits on the spectrum relative to microwave and infrared and visible light and gamma rays and X-rays and all that, radio is way at the low end of the spectrum, really low energy. So we're talking about something that the radiation that's being generated by that area of the spectrum, that doesn't ionize. The medical professionals are really concerned about the ionization of that radiation and what impact that could have on human health. But at that range of the spectrum, the radiation does not ionize. So it's been proven time and time again that while it's certainly worthwhile to make sure that there's not a health risk, there's been nothing to prove that there is a health risk because of that lack of radiation and ionization that occurs.
So does 5G replace then Wi-Fi in some systems, like within a building?
We see that 5G and Wi-Fi are going to support different types of services and provide value in both cases. So we don't see this as any type of a holy war, if you will, between 5G and Wi-Fi. It's not really an either or. We see it as an and. And here's why. Wi-Fi is going to do really well for carpeted areas of a factory environment. It's going to do really well for certain types of services out on a plant floor. Where cellular tends to be more capable is when it comes to assets that are in motion. And one of the things that characterizes a factory or plant environment, when you walk in, there's lots of things moving around, not just AGVs and AMRs, but there's carts, there's operators themselves carrying a tablet or some type of a smart device. There's scissor lifts, there's all sorts of carts that are moving around. There's constant motion. Cellular is really adept at tracking and connecting a device or an asset in motion. It does handoffs in a way that Wi-Fi doesn't necessarily do. It's built into cellular to be able to make sure that a connection is maintained when you're going from zone to zone. So some of those inherent capabilities that cellular has are going to lend themselves towards the use cases around that. Cellular is also going to have some advantages when it comes to outdoor operations, especially of a massive scale, where you have a lot of areas to cover. A Wi-Fi access point has a relatively limited area of coverage. So with that, it's going to require an awful lot of infrastructure to be built out to support vast outdoor spaces. So those are just a couple areas we see. And then back to your IoT center discussion, when you have lots and lots of sensors, aggregating them intelligently and being able to scale that, private cellular is going to have some inherent advantages to do that. So we see that Wi-Fi is going to be able to do a lot of things that, if you will, are not integral to the value chain. But when you need something that's core to the value chain, it's probably more likely to be provided by cellular, because cellular provides a deterministic connection versus a shared connection. It's able to deliver a latency and speeds that are comparable to Wi-Fi, but now approaching the speed and reliability and performance of a wired connection. So it makes for a really interesting option for customers, where we see the bigger threat is probably replacing wired connections versus replacing Wi-Fi connectivity.